So my screen is visible, I guess. Okay. So far we have known, we have studied, we know that now that these stem cells have been the focus of intense biomedical research in recent years, because we know that scientists have developed different mechanisms to actually make induced stem cells. Now why? Because these stem cells have their self-renewal ability together with their potential to differentiate into other cell types, represent particularly attractive features not only for the clinical applications in the field of regenerative medicine, but also for the study of fundamental process for basic research like embryology and the development of complex multicellular organs. Moreover, their reported involvement in neurodegenerative diseases, diabetes, and cancer have raised considerable interest in stem cell biology across a wide range of biomedical research field. So, there are various research groups dedicated significant effort to identify sets of genes, which is known as so-called stemness signatures. Why? Because stemness signatures, because these are considered to be the essential to define a cell as stem cell. However, their usage has been hindered by the lack of comprehensive resources and easy to use tools. Now, for this, a group of scientists have developed a particular software, a novel stemness analysis tool based on the curation of nearly 50 published stemness signatures defined by the gene expression, RNAi screens, transcription factors, binding sites, literature reviews, and computational approaches. And this wave server is known as StemChecker. Now, this StemChecker allows researchers to explore the presence of stemness signatures in user-defined gene sets without carrying out lengthy literature curation or data processing, because when you are using this a particular gene, you need to know whether it has the stemness property or not. So this is the reason that the scientists have developed this software. Now okay, so to assist in exploring underlying regulatory mechanism, what scientists have done, they have collected over 80 target gene sets of transcription factors associated with pluripotency or multipotency. Now, this StemChecker presents an intuitive graphical display as well as detailed statistical results in table format, which helps revealing transcriptionally regulatory programs indicating the putative involvement of stemness associated processes in disease like cancer. Overall, StemChecker substantially expands the available repertoire of online tools designed to assist the stem cell biology, developmental biology, regenerative medicines, and human disease research community. So, if you look onto the workflow of these StemChecker they have developed, now based on this software, there are 4 simple steps. First is the input. So what happens in the first step? The user inputs this is the input section of the particular software. So in the first step, the user inputs the identifier for their gene or genes of interest. Now, StemChecker currently accepts official gene symbols, entries, gene IDs, or mix of both. You can input it. Next step is the selection for the stemness signature. So the second step consists of selecting the data sets that should be included in the search. That is, the user can either restrict the search to the stemness signatures that best suit their research interest, or alternatively search all available data sets. The default searching option select all human data sets, but the user can alternatively search only mouse, only data sets, or both organisms, in which they want to work. So this is the selection section. So these are the sameness signatures from where you can select. Now the sameness signature represents in stem checker, it is actually classified into 5 major categories, as you can see, depending on their source. First one is the TF, transcription factor genes. Now the transcription factor target genes containing only the positively regulated genes that are targeted by key transcriptional regulators such as OCT4, NANOG, SOX2 for embryonic stem cells. So these are the signature transcription factor associated proteins. Next is the expression profiles, contains 34 sets of upregulated genes in 9 stem cell type. What are they? ECS, embryonic stem cells, hematopoietic stem cells, mesenchymal stem cells, embryonal carcinoma cells, mammary stem cells, neural stem cells, intestinal stem cells, induced pluripotent stem cells, and spermatogonial stem cells. So you can get the idea of the expression profile of 30 sets of upregulated genes in these 9 sets of stem cells. Next is the RNAi screen, includes 5 sets of genome-wide RNAi screening experiments for genes essential for self-renewal. Fourth one is the literature curation. It includes gene sets extracted from publicly accessible resources such as Reactome, KEGG pathway, Flurry network, and HSC, Hematopoietic Stem Cell Explorer, that were based on independent curation of published studies. So basically this Reactome, KEGG, these are actually contains the published data, curated data, and all these published curated data, depending on these all curators, curating softwares, they have made this section literature curation. And last one is the computationally derived genes, sets collected from 2 resources. First one is the PluriNet, which is based on the computational network analysis, and second one is the GeneCards database based on text mining. So this is the selection of sameness signatures. Now furthermore, it is possible to control how the genes and sameness signatures are ordered in the generated checkboards. For that, we have checkboard option. Now by selecting ordered genes rows, the genes will be ordered according to the number of occurrence in sameness signatures. Thus genes with more matches will be displayed on the top. If you choose order sets columns, then the sameness signatures or the transcription factor target gene sets with more genes matched to the queried genes will be located to the left. And if you choose order by species, the genes will be ordered by species. Now please note that this feature can only be used when both organisms are selected, both for mouse and human. Furthermore, when this option is selected, it can only be used in conjugation with other sets. Okay. So finally, masking options can be set to exclude imputed genes associated with either cell proliferation and or cell cycle. It should be noted that these options only mask imputed genes present in the database but not in the input are not masked. By default, the checkerboard options are ordered by genes and sets. The organism selected is Homo sapiens, and no masking options are selected. This is the default. Now the third step is the search. The user initiates the search and analysis by pressing the submit button. Now pressing the submit button will execute the search for the input genes in the selected sameness signatures and calculates its statistical significance using the hypogeometrical tests. And the final step of this workflow allows the user to interactively inspect the results, which is the interactive analysis section. Now this interactive analysis session or the result which is displayed, this is mainly displayed in 3 pages. Now each in its own tab. First is the overview or stats. It shows the overlap of the input genes with stem checkers data set and their statistical significance. Second is the sameness match. The sameness signature match displaying a checkerboard like table which indicates the occurrence of each individual query gene in the different sameness signatures. And the third one is the transcription factor match, showing which of the input genes are targets of transcription factors based on the curated data sets. Now on the overview or the stat page, you will obtain the summary, which contains a small description of how many input genes were found in the database, how many input genes were not found on the database, and how many sameness signatures and transcription factor target genes datasets are analyzed. So if you can see, if you have given the genes, there are, say, after the analysis, it gives you 15 input genes found in the database, 0 number of input genes not found in the database, 18 sameness signatures were analyzed, 10 transcription factor sets were analyzed. So there is, so these are the initial summary. Next is the how can you interpret the results. So the overview section I have mentioned, the overview section that will give you, first they will give you the stem cell type. So in the first tab actually it displays this kind of result. So it is displayed in the displaying the significance of the overlap, which is represented by the -log 10 of the hypergeometric trace p-value. And if you press, there are switch buttons, if you press this switch button, you will obtain the overlap percentage of the queried gene with the different stem cell types dataset. Now values can range from 0 to infinite for the -log 10 of the hypergeometric test p-value, and from 0 to 100% on the overlap of the input genes list with the dataset. The exact value or the percentage are shown when the pointer is moved over the generated sets. Okay, so it will show the percentage or the value. Now if you see, there is also, they will show another table. The chart visualizes not only the overlap but also indicates whether the input genes show any tendency towards particular stem cell types. Here in this example, it is possible to observe that the majority of the queried genes are expressed in embryonic stem cells and embryonal carcinoma, giving a clear indication that these genes contribute to the stemness state. If you can see, these are showing the embryonal carcinoma and embryonic stem cell, right? So, and it is also showing the significance and the percentage overlap of the input genes, which is listed in this table. So in both the cases, if you can see the table and the figure, you can see there are download options by which you can already save the photos for your further use for your publication. You can also download the table for your future work. This is the first table you will observe in the overview or stat section. In the second segment, it is displayed the overlap significance of the input gene list with the selected stemness signature and the overlap percentage with the data set, means the matched according to the source or method of generation. So thus the 5 spokes refer to the merged stemness signatures of the transcription factor target, gene expression, RNAi screen, literature curation and computational methods. Now in this example, you can see that the majority of the input genes occur in signature based on expression profiles or the transcription factor target genes, which considerably less can be found as hits of RNAi screen. You can see here the table here you will get another table which actually shows, it contains lists of overlap between the input genes and the selected sameness signatures and its statistical significance. Now for each signature it shows the set size, the number of genes. You can see here the set size, the number of genes, the size of the overlap, that is the number of genes that are common with the input genes, and the corresponding p-value for overrepresenting, that is calculated by the hypergeometric test. Since we are performing multiple tests to the same database, we represent the adjusted p-value also here, which is known as the corrected p-value, and this correction, this calculation is done depending on by the Bonferroni correction method. So this is the second table we will get in the overview or stat section. Now I have told there are three segments you will get in the overview or stat section. Now coming to the next portion. Now coming to the third section. Now in the third section it is displayed the overlap significance and the overlap percentage of the input gene lists with the sets of transcription factor target genes determined by chip on chip as well as ChIP-seq studies. Now if you can see, each spoke represents the merged set of target genes for a specific transcription factor. All the transcription factor you can see, the factors are written over here against each of the spokes. Now for example, gene set, the chart shows that a high percentage of the input genes are known target of the pluripotency master regulator, NANOG, SOX2 and OCT4. You can see it is showing the OCT4, SOX2 and NANOG. Here also you can see OCT4, SOX2 and NANOG. The provided, you will also get another table along with this figure. It provides the same type of information as described previously, the set name, the size, the overlapping genes, the p-value along with the corrected p-value depending on the Bonferroni correction method. Okay, so in each of the cases, now note that in all the three previous slides or in the overview or stat section, now it is possible to download all the radar charts as PNG files with transparent background and its corresponding tables which contain the genes that are overlapping with each dataset as a text file .txt format. Furthermore, it is possible to download the tables that contain the statistical significance of the overlap between the input genes and the sameness signatures or the transcription factors. So you can download them and save them, use them properly for your future use. And please note that these features may not work properly for some older browser versions that I am showing you today. This is the newer version of this STEM checker. Okay. Now we have mentioned there are three different phases. The first one is the overview or stat. Next is the sameness match. Now in the overview or stat section, we have received or we have obtained a summary where we will get the overall view. Next in the overview section, we will get 3 different figures that will show the possible transcription factors, the percentages of their sameness and all, and their corresponding tables which is showing the particular values, the size, overlapping genes and the adjusted p-values in each cases. Now this is the first segment of the analyzed data. In the second section we will get the sameness match, and in the third section we will get transcription factor or TF match. Now the sameness match and the transcription factor match tabs both display a checkerboard like table indicating the presence of each valid input gene in each of the selected sameness or transcription factor datasets. Briefly, we can say that each row represents one query gene and each column one selected data set. So each row represents one query gene and each column present particular selected data set. Now if you can see, so this is the sameness match. So here you can see that each blue rectangle in this table indicates the presence of the input gene in the corresponding data set. By default, the checkerboards are ordered so that genes that is represented in the row, the genes with more matches will be displayed on top, and gene sets are written over here in the columns with the most genes matched will be located on the left. So the matches will be displayed on the top and the most gene matched will be located on the left. Now both the settings can be changed in the checkerboard options from the analysis tab. You can change it. Additionally, the user can fully customize the checkerboards to display only the most relevant data pertaining to its particular research interests by hiding the rows and the columns that show superfluous information, followed by the download of the personalized image in PDF format. We have already seen it before. This presentation is very intuitive and it provides the user with a quick way of visualizing the data sets that share the most genes with the input gene list. It also indicates to the user if a subset of input genes is found in common sameness signature or under the control of a common transcription factor. This is showing basically the sameness signature. Now this indication helps to identify the genes that were responsible for detected associations with sameness signatures or the TF regulons. Now if you can see, in this table, in these sameness signatures, these sameness signatures are color coded by the type of data, namely transcription target genes, expression profiles, computationally derived RNA screen literature curations, etc. Now note that both genes and the signatures can be hidden from the display, as I have told, by clicking on the cross shown over here. Now this feature is particularly useful if one wants to hide the display, hide from display genes or signatures for which no matches have been found. You can just switch them off. Now this table actually shows the occurrence of individual gene in the selected sameness signature. These are the sameness signatures and these are the particular genes. Now the entries genes ID is shown in the brackets. Here you can see the ID of the particular genes. Now clicking on this cross to the left of a gene or below sameness signature will hide the respective gene or signature, as I mentioned. And the colors, there are patterns. The colors below the labels of the sameness signatures indicates the type of data source or acquisition. I haven't shown it here. You will see the color codes also from the server at the result. Now if you check the transcription factor match, the transcription factor match page, the input genes are matched with potential target genes of transcription factors identified, and these transcription factors is basically identified on by the chip or ChIP-seq analysis in stem cells. Also here the results are displayed via a checkerboard like table similar to that of the stemness match page. Now input genes and target transcription factor target gene sets are ordered by default and can be removed from display, as I have mentioned already earlier. Okay, so this is the transcription factor match. So this is the three portions of the result that you will obtain from this stem checker. Now after obtaining this, if you want to obtain more information about the gene sets included in stem checker, the browse dataset tab provides a list of all curated stemness signatures and transcription factor target gene sets. Now if you check for it, you will get a sunburst, and this sunburst chart demonstrates in a synthetic and intuitive way the composition of the gene sets that are present in stem checker. The inner circle represents two different major sets, stemness signature and the transcription factor sets, transcription factor gene sets. The intermediate circle and the outer circle represent the subsets or data sets present in these two major classes. Mouse over the different layers of these circles scan for the gene datasets included in this stem checker, if you can actually over your mouse pointer here. Now by clicking the table button next to this sunburst chart, you will obtain detailed information about the curated stemness signatures as well as transcription factor target genes. Now by clicking on say any signature or gene sets, a comprehensive table you will obtain with information about the particular gene sets, including a brief description, number of included genes, PubMed ID and data source, right? So this is basically the, if you want to know more about the curated gene sets of this database, you will use this particular software or a particular portion. To know from here, you will just you will get all the transcription factor genes or expression profiles of each genes, and you will know about details of each genes if needed to you. So this is about the stem checker which you can use. Actually I was going to show you the stem checker, but I don't know why the server is actually down. That is the reason it's just so actually I have used it yesterday only, but now it's not opening. So maybe the server is down, maybe there are maintenance of the particular server, because sometimes it happens when we are using some web-based server or web-based software. Sometimes during the maintenance of the particular server, particular software, we face such problems. It doesn't open actually. So the stem checker is not now opening, so I am unable to show you how it works, because I have thought to show you. Well, so in my next class I will show you how it works. So let's talk about something, because we have already read about the use of the stem cells or the fascinating areas where the stem cells can be used. You can go for basic research, for develop medicine, or you can also use that in therapeutic purpose also. So stem cells, because these stem cells, at least you know now that these stem cells have the ability to differentiate into specific cell types. Now the two defining characteristics of the stem cells are perpetual self-renewal and the ability to differentiate into a specialized adult cell type. Now the stem cells must have the ability of unlimited self-renewal to produce progeny exactly the same as the originating one. Now this trait is also true for cancer cells also, that divides and divides, right, in an uncontrolled manner, whereas the stem cell division is highly regulated. Therefore, it is important to note the additional requirement for stem cells. They must be able to give rise to a specialized cell type that becomes part of the healthy animal. The cancer cells do not. There are two major classes of stem cells. We have also talked about that: pluripotent stem cells that become any cell in the adult body, and the multipotent stem cells that are restricted to becoming a more limited population of cells. Moreover, the stem cells have great potential in tissue regeneration and body repair mechanism. So this is the reason that stem cells have tremendous promise to help us understand and treat a range of diseases, injuries and other health related conditions. Their potential is evident in the use of blood stem cells or to treat the disease of the blood, which is a therapy that has saved the lives of thousands of children with leukemia, and can be seen in the use of stem cells for tissue grafts to treat diseases or injury to the bone, skin, surface of eyes. There is still a lot to learn about this stem cell therapy. Okay, for many other conditions, and researchers basically now continuing to explore new avenues using these stem cells in medicines. Now you can see this is basically a diagram that is showing that if you want to go for this stem cell therapy, you can take the adipose tissues, separate them. You have to make those cells into a stem cell. You will cultivate the stem cells and next induce the stem cells to become more specific cells and infuse the stem cells into a patient. Now, when we are going for stem cell therapy, you should know that scientists are exploring the different roles tissue specific stem cells might play in healing, with the understanding that these stem cells have specific and limited capabilities. That is, without manipulation in the lab, tissue specific stem cells can only generate the other cell types found in the tissues where they live. For example, the blood forming stem cells, which is known as the hematopoietic stem cells, they will give rise to these hematopoietic stem cells are found in bone marrow. So they basically give rise to the blood cells, while neural stem cells in the brain, they make only brain cells. A hematopoietic stem cell won't spontaneously make a brain cell and vice versa. Thus, it is unlikely that a single cell type can be used to treat a multitude of unrelated diseases involving different tissues or organs. So, now we know that because stem cells that are specific to certain tissue cannot make cells found in another tissues without careful manipulation in the lab, and it is very unlikely that the same stem cell treatment will work for diseases affecting different tissues and organs within the body. So different types of stem cells serve different purposes in the body, and scientists have learned to make certain specialized cell types through a multi-step process using pluripotent stem cell, that is embryonic stem cell or induced pluripotent stem cell. You have already learnt about that. These cells have the potential to form all the different cell types in the body and offer an exciting opportunity to develop new treatment strategies. Embryonic stem cells and these induced pluripotent stem cells, however, are not good candidate to be used directly as treatments, as they require careful instructions to become the specific cells needed to regenerate diseased or damaged tissues. If not properly directed, these stem cells may overgrow and cause tumors when injected into the patients. So you have to be much more careful, and that is why the science behind the disease should match the science behind the treatment. The more you know about the causes and the effects of your disease, the better armed you are to identify your best treatment options. So if you have a certain type of blood cancer, for example, transplantation with blood forming stem cells makes sense, as the treatment requires those specific cells to do exactly what they are designed to do. Now if you have diabetes, receiving a blood forming, if you have diabetes and you are receiving a blood forming stem cell treatment, it doesn't make sense, because the problem is in the pancreas rather than in the blood itself. So without significant and careful manipulation in the lab, tissue specific stem cells do not generate cell types found outside of their home tissues. So after discussing the above factors, we can say that this is a process by which science becomes medicine. It is often long, but it is designed to minimize patient harm and to maximize the likelihood of effectiveness. It is basically a lengthy multi-step process involved in responsibly translating science into safe and effective medical treatments. Now, during this process, scientists may discover that an approach that seemed promising in the lab, but it does not work in the animals, or that an approach that worked in animals does not work in humans. So they may discover that a treatment effectively addresses symptoms of a disease or injury in human, but that it carries unacceptable risks. So scientists carefully review and replicate their work and invite their peers to do the same. So scientists as well as the doctors have to be more careful, because I have mentioned that there are differences to make something in the lab, to use something on the animal. If we're using an animal model, to use something in an animal model and then introducing that in human system. So you have to be cautious enough. This is the reason one should be cautious enough before going for a stem cell therapy. Otherwise, complications may create new short or long-term health problems, or may make your condition or symptoms more difficult to manage. There will be no revert back. Receipt of one unproven or experimental treatment may make you ineligible for future clinical trials or treatment options. Out-of-pocket expenses, because this is not a regular treatment process, so it requires a huge amount of expense, and these out-of-pocket expenses could be enormous. In addition to treatment costs, there may be accommodation charges or other fees. In most cases, insurance companies and government health programs do not cover the cost of experimental treatments. And another practical problem, that if travel is involved, there are additional considerations, including time away from friends and family, obviously. So before you decide whether to pursue an unproven or experimental treatment, carefully assess the treatment you are considering, a patient party is considering. Weigh the risks and potential benefits, get input from your family members, and then think about this stem cell therapy. This is obviously the solution of several, say around 30 or 40 diseases still known, but still you have to think twice, because there are some drawbacks of this process also. So if you go for this stem cell transplantation process, there are two different kinds of transplantation. First one is the autologous stem cell transplantation. Second one is the allogenic stem cell transplantation. So first we will talk about this autologous stem cell transplantation. From name it is clear that autologous means your own. So in this autologous stem cell transplantation, the stem cells are collected from the patient themselves. These are harvested, frozen and stored, then infused back into the patient after intensive therapy. So the stem cells are collected from the patient himself. That is why it is known as the autologous stem cell transplantation. So what happens? Doctors typically harvest the stem cells from the patient's bloodstream, peripheral blood stem cells. Through a mobilization process, the stem cells are brought from the bone marrow into the peripheral bloodstream, where the collection process begins. Now, blood is separated using apheresis machine. This process takes say a few hours and is repeated until the appropriate amount of stem cell is collected. Next, once harvested, the stem cells are frozen in the stem cell processing and cryopreservation laboratory until it's time to transplant. So we are cryopreserving the stem cells. Next, the frozen stem cells are thawed and then re-infused into the bloodstream, similar to a blood transfusion. The procedure typically takes about an hour of transplantation. After entering the bloodstream, the stem cells travel to the bone marrow and begin to produce new blood cells in a process known as engraftment. Because it takes time to build the immune system back up after a transplant, the doctors take careful measures after the stem cell transplant. In the weeks afterward, patients' blood counts will be checked frequently and blood transfusion may be necessary to prevent or treat infections or bleeding issues. Now, when you are going for an autologous stem cell transplantation procedures, there are few factors of concern. Like, anytime cells are removed from your body, there is a risk that they may be contaminated with viruses, bacteria or other pathogens that could cause diseases when reintroduced in the patient's body. First. Second one, the manipulation of the cells by your clinic may interfere with their normal function, including those that control cell growth. Third one, how and where these cells are put back into your body, that also matters. And some clinics inject cells into places where they are not normally present and do not belong. So it will not work. You are doing a particular stem cell therapy for your betterness, but the result is that you are getting is just the opposite one, rather worse. So you have to be careful for about all these 3 points. The stem cells that should not be infected by any of the pathogens after removal, the manipulation of the cells should be done cautiously without harming or hampering the normal cellular functions, specifically the cell growths. And third one, the stem cells should be transplanted back into its own positions where those stem cells belong. Otherwise, they cannot work properly, because in our previous slide we have already talked that the stem cells are specific one that cannot, these cells that you are actually transplanting, that cannot, one stem cell cannot make different stem cells, right? I have already mentioned that these are very specific. These stem cells, they have specific and limited capabilities. So without you, when you are manipulating them, tissue specific stem cells, they can only generate the other cell types found in the tissues where they live. So the introduction or the transplantation or the reinfusion of the stem cell in the patient's body in a different location will be harmful for the patients. You have to keep in mind. So this is about the autologous stem cell transplantation. The second type of stem cell transplantation is the allogenic stem cell transplantation. So in our next class we will talk about that allogenic stem cell transplantation. Okay, and I am trying, if I am successful, if the server is okay, I can reach the server.